KSBY News starts right now.
Do you think Andrew Holland was treated inhumanely?
I think that length of time was naturally disturbing to everybody, as it should be.
Sheriff Ian Parkinson breaks his silence on the 46 hours Andrew Holland spent in a restraint chair and the video published of his death in jail. Thanks for joining us for the news at 11. I'm Richard Gearhart. For the first time since video of Andrew Holland's death at the San Luis Obispo County Jail was leaked, the sheriff talks publicly about what happened. Holland had been in custody, charged with resisting arrest with force, battery on a police officer, and a probation violation. Deputies say they put Holland, who suffered with schizophrenia, in a restraint chair because he was punching himself in the face. He was in that chair nearly 2 full days. Video published earlier this month shows shortly after being untied from the chair, Holland lost consciousness in his cell and died. The coroner ruled Holland died from a blood clot. The sheriff says there's a lot the edited jail video does not show. That's why he's decided to finally talk about it with KSBY News anchor Karina Corral in an exclusive interview. Karina?
Well, Richard, the sheriff has been accused of making the call to place Andrew in that chair and deciding to leave him there for nearly 2 days and nights. Now, he says even though policies were followed, there are things that should have been done differently. Why was he kept in the chair for so long?
Because he was having a psychotic episode and he would not take medication and his behavior was not changing.
Did you make the call to give the green light for him to be put in the chair, and did you ever go to see him? Did you know that he was there for 46 hours?
First answer is no, absolutely not. It is, I have no idea where that was conceived, but it's absolutely impractical to think that when the jail or patrol is dealing with a violent offender that they would have to call me.
Parkinson says inmates are restrained on a daily basis, although he admits no one was ever kept there as long as Holland. Every time an inmate goes in the restraint chair, there's a paper trail, a log that gets marked at the end of every shift.
Reading the log, you would have known that Andrew Holland was still in the chair day after day.
Conceivably, yes, would have known that he was in there. I certainly don't recall seeing the log. It was started on a Friday on a weekend. As much as I try on the weekends to read the logs when I'm not working, sometimes I don't. I became aware, certainly on Sunday night when he passed the details.
During the 46 hours, Parkinson says Holland was fed and given water. He was not allowed up to use the restroom. The sheriff says medical staff and correctional officers checked on Holland regularly. He was let out of the restraint chair after he agreed to take his medication, and deputies saw a, quote, change in his behavior.
Do you think Andrew Holland was treated inhumanely?
I think that length of time was naturally disturbing to everybody, as it should be. I think the intent of Andrew being in the chair was to protect him, not to harm him.
But the family has asserted many times the time in the chair did more than hurt Holland. It killed him.
Was he tortured like his parents say he was?
No. Torture's very much a word that means that you're intending to do harm to him. It was the opposite, and I understand why they would feel that way. They're very hurt, and they have a reason to be very, very hurt. And I'm very sorry about that.
Holland's parents have rallied with protesters calling on Parkinson to resign. Protesters have set up a mock restraint chair and disrupted a Board of Supervisors meeting, they say, to draw attention to the injustices committed against Holland. Andrew's parents are also supporting Parkinson's opponent in the upcoming race, but Parkinson blames the system for failing their son.
I think we can all say today that he belonged in mental health, and he wasn't admitted to mental health. And that was not acceptable.
Holland was waiting 10 days for his court-ordered transfer to mental health. Mental health has told us there was a miscommunication as to why Holland wasn't admitted.
You've said that the Sheriff's Department does hold some responsibility in Andrew's death. What part of it is your responsibility?
We should have forced the issue. We should have forced him out of that situation. We should have forced him, we should have taken him to the hospital and forced the issue in some other manner. Should have forced the mental health unit to take them or find another space.
Changes have since been put into effect. Mental health says the process to get inmates into the facility has been expedited, though the sheriff says there are 11 inmates right now awaiting a transfer to mental health. At the jail, the restraint chair is no longer used, and arm and leg restraints are only used for 2 hours. The sheriff has also hired a chief medical officer to be staffed at the jail and is converting a portion of the jail into a mental health facility. Changes are coming swiftly. However, admittedly, it's taken a tragedy for this to happen.
We have a tremendous issue going on right now, and it's been pushed down the road, and we're the last spot. So we have to change the way we're doing business. And it's a shame that we had a tragedy, to turn this corner.
We also talked to the sheriff about why the jail video appears to show a deputy laughing while paramedics tried to revive Holland. The answer to that question and whether he will heed calls from many to step down is in part 1 of my interview with Sheriff Parkinson, and that's posted on our website, ksby.com.